Good afternoon. My name is Karen Mena, and today I'm going to be discussing public and private sector jobs. And I want to begin by just giving a general overview of what private and public sector employment is all about. And then I want to get into more specific positions within each of these sectors to try to get an idea of what would motivate an individual to actually select a public sector job over a private sector job. So let's go ahead and get started. So what are the differences between a public sector and a private sector job? Obviously, with a private sector job, you are working for individual entities such as banks or whatnot, anything that's non-government. And in public sector is everything that has to do with your government on all levels. Now, what are some of the perks with public sector? What are some of the things that just in general would draw people to select a public sector job? I've worked in public sector for a while now, and I would have to say that throughout the years, I've always noticed that for individuals that do not have a degree, public sector is very inviting in a sense that you're always going to have better pay for those individuals that don't hold a degree. You're going to have better jobs that provide better benefits and better pay. With individuals that do have a degree, I've always believed that the benefits that the public sector offers has been something utilized to attract more individuals. Although, recently those benefits are not necessarily all available when with all the reform and, all the debate that there is as far as even like retirement pay and, some of these things that public sector offers and that have been something that's been used to draw on more talent into the public sector are not necessarily all available anymore. But one aspect that I have to say that has changed and something that I am learning is, nonprofits and contracts and being able to work private, but then also work for the public sector, which definitely is a way of being able to get the perks from both ends and something that's definitely new and that gives you more options. When you're out there looking for a job, if you're able to contract, obviously you're going to get paid a lot more than you would say if you were actually working for the public sector. So that's something else that is definitely new that I learned in this class. But let's discuss and in detail more what are some of the differences between public and private by discussing in specific positions from each one of the sides. The position that I selected for the public sector within the foreign services is the consular track. I guess in general, I mean, with all of the positions, just being able to assist American citizens abroad is one of the pros, obviously, in being able to provide those services. In this particular track, two things that really stood out to me as part of what would be, the duties in this job was um, fighting against human trafficking, one that definitely stood out to me, and then reuniting abducted children. I can't talk. Reuniting abducted children was another one. Looking at the videos, I was able to see how, the foreign services officers would assist in investigating these cases of children that have been taken by a parent to a foreign country, and being able to follow up with the families, follow up with the children, and at times being able to reunite the children back with the parent that's in the States. And so that definitely stood out to me. Um, with this type of employment, obviously there are some cons, there's cons with every employment, but in particular with these types of employments within the public sector, you are working abroad and you have these assignments, which is an awesome opportunity to be able to see the world and to do things that you would not be able to do in any other job. But with that, you would have to take the assignments that come at 2 to 3 year intervals, and you could be within a territory that's not necessarily welcoming. I mean, you can be in a hostile environment or um, seeing things that perhaps we're not accustomed to seeing. So, there's definitely a lot of pros, but you also have to take the cons into consideration. Now, the position that I selected for the private sector is public relations, which in public relations, basically it's the persuasion business. It's an image shaper for the company, and you're hired to be able to perform these tasks. And this position, as well as the public services one, allows you the opportunity to travel, but obviously the reason for your travels are going to be a little different. But you do get the opportunity to write and distribute press releases, and there's also crisis public relations strategies that have to be planned out within this position for the company. And usually you're representing a client, you're representing a particular entity in this job. Some of the cons would be a lot of turnaround within the business. So I guess, job stability would be a con for that. Office politics. And, if you're an individual that can't handle rejection, this position can be pretty cutthroat. If you're not making it in the business, you can literally just be cut on the spot. So that definitely could be a con in this position. So having gone over the two different positions and having to come up with the conclusion of why individuals would select a government job over a private sector job, I would have to say that being able to go into these different fields, like the foreign service officer, has opened my eyes. I mean, I think I've only ever focused on, what the benefits were and, in comparison the pay and benefits and whatnot. But there is so much more when it comes to being able to represent the American public in other countries and to be able to advocate US interests abroad. I think that there's a certain level of pride, there's a certain level of wanting to do good to humanity and to be able to assist citizens, American citizens that are abroad, also doing their duties. So I think there's a whole lot more that is involved with why individuals select working with government, and definitely has opened my eyes, and I can see why, and I can see, even for myself, why I would even consider um, remaining with the public sector.